Leo Carter stared at the message on his screen for the third time. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure how to respond. After 5 years of quiet research on Earth, the last thing he expected was a call from Sunspire Academy. Urgent assistance required. Unexplained phenomena. Your expertise needed. The message from Dean Zix Vorn was brief but troubling. Leo rubbed his tired eyes and looked out the window of his small apartment. The lights of New Seattle glowed in the distance, a reminder of how far humanity had come since the dark days. His comm unit beeped again. A new message appeared, this one with a face he recognized. Leo, it's Olivia. Please come. Something strange is happening here, and I think it has to do with our past. Olivia Bennett, his brightest student from his teaching days, now a professor herself at the most prestigious alien academy in the galaxy, the same academy that had initially rejected human applicants for decades. Leo sighed and pressed the reply button. I'll be there in 3 days. Send the coordinates. He packed light, a few clothes, his research equipment, and the old medal he received after the peace treaty. The medal he never wore but couldn't bring himself to throw away. The journey to Marathar Prime took 50 hours in hyperspace. Leo spent most of it reviewing what little information Olivia had sent. Strange energy readings, technology malfunctions, and most concerning, students reporting nightmares about humans that wouldn't stay dead. Leo's ship docked at the orbital station above Marathar Prime. The station buzzed with activity. Beings from across the galaxy moved about their business, many giving him sideways glances. Humans were still uncommon this far from Earth space. A tall, blue-skinned Arcturian in a security uniform approached. Dr. Carter, I am to escort you to the surface. The Arcturian said nothing more during the shuttle ride down. Leo watched through the viewport as Sunspire Academy came into view. The massive structure rose from the planet's surface like a twisting spire of crystal and metal, reaching toward the stars, beautiful and alien. When the shuttle landed, Olivia was waiting. Her face broke into a smile when she saw him, though her eyes showed worry. Leo, she said, embracing him briefly. Thank you for coming. Hard to ignore a message like that, he replied. What's going on here, Olivia? She glanced around at the alien students and faculty passing by. Many slowed to look at the human visitor. Not here, she whispered. Come to my office. They walked through the grand halls of Sunspire. Leo noticed the tension immediately. Groups of students fell silent as they passed. Faculty members nodded stiffly or avoided eye contact entirely. Olivia's office was small, but had a stunning view of the planet's twin moons. She closed the door and activated a privacy field. It started 3 weeks ago, she said, pulling up data on her display. The anniversary of first contact. Leo nodded. 73 years since humanity met the Galactic Coalition. 69 years since the Coalition tried to wipe them out. Systems began malfunctioning. Nothing major at first, lights flickering, temperature controls acting up. Then students started having dreams. The same dreams, Leo, about humans fighting, dying, and coming back. She showed him readings from the Academy sensors, strange energy spikes that made no sense. The Council thinks it might be human psychological warfare, she said quietly. Dean Zix Vorn doesn't agree, which is why he contacted you. He respects your work. But others want to blame the troublesome humans. Leo finished. Some things never change. There's more, Olivia said. Yesterday, during a power fluctuation, 3 different faculty members reported seeing human figures walking through walls. Figures that vanished when the lights came back on. Leo felt a chill run down his spine. Show me where. That's the strangest part, Olivia said, pulling up a map of the Academy. Every incident has happened near the historical archives, specifically around the records of the Proxima Centauri conflict. The conflict where humans had suffered their worst defeat, where Leo had lost everything. When can we start? He asked. Now, Olivia said. Because whatever this is, It's getting stronger. Leo and Olivia walked through the grand entrance hall of Sunspire Academy. The ceiling soared high above them, covered in moving images of stars and distant planets. Students from a dozen different species hurried to classes or gathered in small groups. Many stopped to stare at Leo as he passed. They act like they've never seen a human before, Leo said quietly. Most haven't, Olivia replied. I'm one of only 3 human staff members. Kai Rivera is our only human student this year. A tall figure stepped into their path. The Arcturian from the shuttle stood with his arms crossed. Dr. Carter. I am Commander Drell, head of security. His voice was cold. I must inform you that your access is limited to approved areas only. Leo nodded. Of course. And all findings must be reported directly to me. Olivia stepped forward. Dean Zixvorn approved full access for Dr. Carter. Drell's eyes narrowed. The Dean does not oversee security matters. The Dean oversees all matters at Sunspire, came a soft voice behind them. They turned to see a quintillion floating toward them. Dean Zixvorn resembled a jellyfish made of golden light, with 5 eyes spaced around a central body. Dr. Carter, welcome, the Dean said. Please forgive Commander Drell's caution. These events have everyone on edge. Understandable, Leo said. I'd like to see the affected areas as soon as possible. The Dean's light pulsed gently. Professor Bennett will show you everything. Commander Drell will provide whatever resources you need. Drell did not look pleased, but he nodded stiffly before walking away. Why do I get the feeling he doesn't like humans? Leo asked once Drell was out of earshot. His brother was at the Battle of Arcturus, Olivia said quietly. Leo said nothing. 70 years ago, humans had been nearly wiped out in a surprise attack. Instead of surrendering, they fought back with unexpected fury. The Battle of Arcturus had been particularly brutal. This way, Olivia said, leading him through a series of hallways until they reached the historical archives. The doors slid open to reveal a vast chamber filled with data terminals and holographic displays. Most incidents happen near Section 47C, Olivia explained, guiding him to the far corner of the room. Leo checked his scanner as they approached. There's definitely something here. Unusual quantum readings. What does that mean? Olivia asked. It means something is leaking through from somewhere else. Leo adjusted his scanner, or some other time. They stopped at a display labeled Human Coalition Conflicts, 2157 to 2188. The section on the Proxima Centauri conflict was highlighted. This is where students reported seeing the figures, Olivia said. Leo reached out toward the display, and his scanner suddenly beeped loudly. The lights flickered, and the temperature dropped sharply. Leo, Olivia whispered, pointing. Near the far wall, a faint shape was forming. It looked like a human in an old-style spacesuit, moving in slow motion as if underwater. The figure seemed to be working frantically at something they couldn't see. Leo stepped forward slowly, his scanner held out. Hello, can you hear me? The figure didn't respond. It continued its silent work, then turned as if speaking to someone else, someone they couldn't see. The lights flickered again, and the figure vanished. What was that? Olivia asked, her voice shaking. Leo checked his readings. A quantum echo, similar to technology we were developing before. Before what? Before the Proxima Centauri station was destroyed. Leo's face was grim. Olivia, do you know what was on this planet before Sunspire was built? She shook her head. We need to find out, because I think your academy was built on top of something the Coalition wanted everyone to forget. Just then, Leo's scanner picked up movement. Someone was watching them from behind a data shelf. He moved quickly, rounding the corner to find a young man with wide, frightened eyes. You're seeing them too? The young man asked. The shadows that won't stay dead. Leo nodded slowly. You must be Kai Rivera. They're in my dreams every night, Kai said. and they're trying to tell us something. Leo guided Kai to a quiet corner of the archives. The young student looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. Olivia brought him a cup of warm tea. "Tell us about these dreams," Leo said gently. Kay's hands shook slightly as he held the cup. "They started about 3 weeks ago. I see people, humans, working in some kind of lab. They're scared, rushing to finish something important." He paused. "Then there's fire, explosions. They know they're going to die." Leo nodded. "And what are they trying to tell you?" "That's just it," Kai said. "I can never hear what they're saying. It's like watching a video with no sound, but they keep pointing at something. A device with a blue light." Leo pulled out a small tablet and drew a quick sketch. "Did it look anything like this?" Kay's eyes widened. "Yes, exactly like that." "What is it?" "A quantum resonance device," Leo said. "It was experimental technology. Most records of it were lost during the early conflicts, or deliberately erased," Olivia suggested. Leo stood up. "I need to see the Academy's construction records. When was Sunspire built?" Olivia led them to another section of the archives. She accessed a terminal and brought up the records. "Construction began in 2189, right after the peace treaty was signed," she read. "The site was chosen for its unique energy properties." "What was here before?" Leo asked. Olivia scrolled through the records. "It doesn't say." "That's strange." "Not strange. Suspicious," Leo said. He took over the terminal, bypassing several security measures with practiced ease. "Should you be doing that?" Kai asked nervously. "Probably not," Leo replied without looking up. "There. Look at this." The screen showed an old map. A human research station labeled Proxima Outpost 7 occupied the exact location where Sunspire now stood. "This was one of our most advanced research facilities," Leo explained. "It was reported destroyed during the Proxima Centauri conflict. Official story was that humans abandoned it and set off explosives to keep it from falling into Coalition hands." "You don't believe that?" Olivia said. "I never did," Leo admitted. "I lost friends here. Scientists, not soldiers. They wouldn't have destroyed their life's work." The lights in the archives suddenly flickered. Leo's scanner began beeping rapidly. "It's happening again," Kai whispered. This time, multiple human figures appeared throughout the archives. Some were running, others working frantically at invisible stations. All moved as if underwater, their forms transparent and glowing faintly blue. One figure, a woman with short hair, seemed to look directly at them. She pointed urgently at something on the floor, then up at the ceiling, before the vision faded away. "She saw us," Kai said. "I'm sure of it." The main doors to the archives slid open. Commander Drell strode in with 2 security officers. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "We detected unauthorized access to restricted files." "Just doing my job," Leo said calmly. "Dean Zixworn asked me to investigate." "By accessing classified construction records." Drell's face hardened. "Those files are restricted by Coalition Security Directive." "Why?" Olivia challenged. "What's so secret about building an academy?" Before Drell could answer, all the lights went out. Emergency lighting came on seconds later, casting everything in a dim red glow. "Another power failure," one of the security officers reported. "All of you, come with me," Drell ordered. "Now." As they followed Drell out of the archives, Leo noticed something on the floor, a faint outline glowing where the woman had pointed. He quickly took a scan before leaving. In the hallway, other students and faculty were being directed to gathering areas. The Academy's systems were failing across multiple sections. "This is getting worse," Olivia said quietly. Leo checked his scanner. "These readings match experimental quantum entanglement tests from the old research station. Somehow, the past is bleeding into the present." "But why now?" Kai asked. Leo looked grim. "Because someone or something wants the truth to be known. And I think I know what happened to those scientists. They weren't killed by an explosion." What then? Olivia asked. I think they were still alive when the Coalition buried this place and built an academy on top of it. Dean Zix-Vorn called an emergency meeting in the main conference room. All department heads were present, along with Leo, Olivia, and a nervous-looking Kai. Commander Drell stood by the door, his face unreadable. Dr. Carter, please share what you've discovered, the dean said, golden light pulsing gently. Leo stood and connected his scanner to the room's display system. Images of quantum readings and old maps appeared on the wall. Sunspire Academy was built directly on top of a human research station. Leo began. A station that was supposedly destroyed during the war, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Several alien faculty members shifted uncomfortably. The phenomena you're experiencing are quantum echoes, Leo continued. Glimpses of the past bleeding into the present. I believe the scientists at Proxima Outpost 7 were working on experimental technology, a form of quantum entanglement that could store and transmit data across time. Impossible, said Professor Nylith, head of physics. The insect-like Theron clicked her mandibles in disapproval. Such technology violates temporal integrity laws. Those laws didn't exist 70 years ago, Leo replied. And humans were desperate. The Coalition forces had pushed us back to our last few colonies. Leo pulled up another image, the scan he had taken from the archives floor. This is a partial blueprint of something called Project Echo. It appears to be a quantum network designed to preserve human knowledge in case of extinction. Commander Drell stepped forward. This is classified information. You have no authorization. Why is it classified? Olivia interrupted. If the station was destroyed and everyone died, what's there to hide? The room fell silent. Dean Zix-Vorn's light dimmed slightly. Because they didn't all die, Leo said quietly. At least, not right away. He pulled up construction dates for Sunspire. The Academy's foundation was laid less than a month after the battle. No debris removal, no site preparation. They just built right on top. Kai stood suddenly. I've been seeing it in my dreams. They were still working when the building started. They couldn't get out, so they put themselves into the system somehow. Professor Nylith made a dismissive sound. Human fantasy. Consciousness cannot be transferred to a machine. Not transferred, Leo corrected. Echoed. Like a quantum imprint, and it's been dormant until now. Why now? The dean asked. The 70-year anniversary of first contact, Olivia said. Plus, Kai is here. The first human student in this section of the Academy in decades. He could be acting as a focus point. Leo nodded. The Echoes are trying to complete their mission. To preserve what the Coalition tried to bury. Commander Drell moved toward the door. I've heard enough. This meeting is over. Dr. Carter, you will turn over all your data and prepare to leave. The lights flickered, and the doors sealed shut. Every screen in the room activated at once, showing the same image. A woman in a lab coat, her face serious and determined. Project Echo activated, said a computerized voice. Final transmission protocol engage. The woman on the screen began to speak, but there was no sound. Subtitles appeared instead. If you are seeing this, then our work was not in vain. I am Dr. Samantha Wright, lead researcher at Proxima Outpost 7. What happened here was not an accident or an act of war. The message cut off as the power stabilized. The screens went dark. They're still here, Kai whispered, trapped between then and now. Leo looked at the dean. We need to go deeper, the foundation level. That's where the original lab would have been. Absolutely not, Commander Drell stated. This facility is now under lockdown by my authority. The dean's light pulsed brightly. Your authority is superseded by mine, Commander, and I want the truth. He turned to Leo. Dr. Carter, Professor Bennett, you have my permission to investigate the foundation level. Take Kai with you. He may be our best connection to these echoes. Drell's face darkened. You're making a mistake, Dean. Some things were buried for a reason. Yes, Olivia said. And it's time we found out why. The journey to the Foundation level was not easy. The original blueprints showed no direct access, and many of the service tunnels had been sealed off years ago. Leo, Olivia, and Kai followed maintenance shafts that wound deep beneath the academy. These tunnels weren't designed for people, Olivia said as they squeezed through a narrow passage. Leo checked his scanner. We're getting close. The quantum readings are much stronger down here. They reached a heavy door marked with faded human writing. The words Proxima Outpost 7, Main Lab, were barely visible beneath layers of new paint. This is it, Leo said. He ran his hand over the old door, sealed from the outside. Kai touched the door and pulled back sharply. It's warm. Leo scanned it. There's power running through the walls. The old systems might still be active. Using tools from his kit, Leo worked on the electronic lock. After several minutes, the door slid open with a groan of protest. Stale air rushed out. Inside was a large laboratory, frozen in time. Dust covered everything, but otherwise it looked as if the scientists had just stepped away. Workstations still had personal items on them. Coffee mugs, photos, notebooks. They never cleaned it out, Olivia whispered. They just sealed it up and built over it. Leo moved to the central platform where a large device stood. It resembled a ring of metal with blue crystals embedded around the edge. In the center was a sphere of what looked like flowing liquid metal. Project Echo, Leo said. It's still active after all these years. Kai approached slowly. This is what I saw in my dreams. The scientists were working on this when the lights in the lab suddenly came to life. Screens activated, showing data streams and diagrams. A soft hum filled the air. System reactivation complete, announced a computerized voice. Detecting human presence, initiating final protocol. The sphere in the center of the device began to glow brighter. The air above it shimmered, and a figure took shape. Dr. Samantha Wright, the woman from the earlier transmission. Unlike the previous echoes, she seemed more solid, more present. Hello, she said, looking directly at them. I've been waiting a long time for this. Leo stepped forward. Dr. Wright, are you alive? The figure smiled sadly. Not exactly. I'm a quantum echo, a copy of my consciousness preserved in the system. We all are. She gestured around the room, and faint outlines of other scientists appeared at their workstations. What happened here? Olivia asked. When the coalition forces reached Proxima Centauri, we knew we wouldn't survive, Dr. Wright explained. But we had discovered something too important to lose, a pattern in galactic history. What pattern? Leo asked. Every dominant species eventually tries to eliminate potential rivals, she said. It's happened dozens of times, long before humans reached the stars. We found evidence in ancient ruins across 7 systems. The sphere pulsed, projecting images of extinct civilizations and abandoned worlds. We created Project Echo to preserve this knowledge, even if humanity was wiped out, Dr. Wright continued. We used our own neural patterns as the carrier wave, a desperate measure in our final hours. The coalition didn't destroy the station, Kai said, understanding dawning on his face. No, Dr. Wright confirmed. They found us still working. Rather than risk our discovery becoming known, they sealed us in and built over us. We were trapped, slowly running out of air, but we completed Echo with our final breaths. A loud bang echoed through the lab as the main door was forced fully open. Commander Drell stood there with armed security officers. Step away from that device, he ordered. By authority of Coalition Security Directive 137, this facility is now under quarantine. Dr. Wright's form flickered. They're still trying to bury the truth, even after 70 years. Leo placed himself between Drell and the device. What are you afraid of, Commander? That the galaxy will learn what really happened here. You don't understand what you're meddling with, Drell said, his weapon raised. That device doesn't just contain memories. It contains proof that would destabilize the entire coalition. Commander Drell kept his weapon aimed at Leo. The security officers spread out around the laboratory, surrounding them. The Coalition Council will decide what to do with this information, Drell said. Not you. The same council that buried the truth 70 years ago. Olivia stepped beside Leo. They had their chance. Dr. Wright's form grew brighter. Project Echo wasn't designed to destroy the Coalition. It was meant to help prevent the cycle from repeating. Leo studied the device. How does it work? The sphere contains quantum-entangled particles linked across space and time, Dr. Wright explained. Our research, our data, our memories, all preserved and ready to transmit to a suitable network. Like the Academy systems, I suggested. Dr. Wright nodded. We've been trying to initiate the transfer for decades, but we needed direct human interaction to calibrate the final sequence. Drell stepped forward. Enough. Shut down the device now. You can't shut it down, Dr. Wright said calmly. The process has already begun. The sphere pulsed with blue light. The other echoes around the room became more solid, each working at their stations, as if completing one final task. Stop them, Drell ordered his officers. The security team moved toward the device, but Leo blocked their path. Think about what you're doing, he said to Drell. These people didn't die in battle. They were buried alive by Coalition forces. Is that the history you want to protect? Drell's face hardened. Individual tragedies don't outweigh galactic stability. This isn't about humans versus the Coalition anymore, Olivia argued. It's about breaking a cycle that's destroyed countless civilizations. The lab door opened again. Dean Zixvorn floated in, his golden light filling the room. Commander, lower your weapons, the Dean ordered. With respect, Dean, this is a security matter, Drell replied. This is a matter of truth, the Dean said, moving closer to the device. And Sunspire Academy was built to pursue truth, not bury it. Dr. Wright's form flickered. We're losing power. The transfer needs to happen now, or all our work will be lost forever. Leo turned to the Dean. Can you authorize a direct connection to the Academy's main systems? The Dean pulsed in what appeared to be a nod. I already have. He moved to a console and entered a series of commands. Sunspire's network is open. No. Drell lunged forward, but Kai stepped in his way. Let them finish, Kai said firmly. You owe them that much. The sphere began to spin, blue energy crackling around it. The echoes of the scientists worked faster, their forms growing more transparent as data streamed from the device into the Academy systems. Screens throughout the lab displayed fragments of the information. Star charts marked with extinct civilizations, timelines showing the rise and fall of species, mathematical models predicting conflict patterns. It's working, Dr. Wright said, her voice fading. The data is transferring. Drell pushed past Kai and reached for the main power coupling. This ends now. Leo saw what was happening and moved to stop him, but he was too late. Drell yanked the coupling free, and sparks flew from the connection. The lab plunged into darkness for a moment before emergency lights activated. The device sputtered, energy arcing wildly. No. Leo rushed to the controls. The transfer wasn't complete. Dr. Wright's form began to break apart, dissolving into fragments of light. The core data is through. It's enough to break the cycle. The energy from the device suddenly surged, striking Drell and throwing him against the wall. He collapsed to the floor, unconscious. System overload, announced the computerized voice. Containment failing. Get back. Leo shouted, pulling Olivia and Kai away from the device. The sphere at the center of Project Echo pulsed one final time, then released a wave of blue energy that spread throughout the room. As it washed over them, Leo saw flashes of memories, not his own, but those of the scientists who had died here. Then everything went quiet. The device darkened, the sphere now dull and lifeless. In the silence, A single screen remained active, displaying a simple message. Project Echo complete. The truth is in your hands now. 1 month later, Leo stood at the large window in Olivia's office, looking out at the twin moons of Marathar Prime. The Academy had changed since that night in the lab. Workers had removed the walls that had hidden Proxima Outpost 7 for 70 years. The lab was now restored, a memorial to the scientists who had died there. The last of the Coalition investigators left today, Olivia said, entering the office with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Leo. What was their final ruling? Leo asked. They admitted the truth, Olivia said with a small smile. They had no choice. Too many people have seen the data now. Leo nodded. The information from Project Echo had spread throughout Sunspire Academy and beyond. The pattern the scientists had discovered, of dominant species trying to eliminate potential rivals, was now being studied in classrooms across the galaxy. And Drell, removed from his position, Olivia replied, though some say he was just following orders from 70 years ago. The door opened and Kai entered. He looked different now, more confident, less afraid. Professor Bennett, Dr. Carter, they're ready for you in the main hall. They followed Kai through corridors, now filled with students from all species, including a dozen new human transfers. The mood had changed. Where there had once been tension and suspicion, there was now curiosity and even respect. The main hall was packed with people. Dean Zixvorn floated at the center of the stage, his golden light brighter than Leo had ever seen it. Beside him stood representatives from both the Coalition Council and Earth's government. As Leo, Olivia, and Kai took their places on stage, the Dean began to speak. Today we honor the truth, no matter how painful, the Dean said. 70 years ago, scientists from Earth discovered a pattern that threatened the very foundation of the Coalition. Instead of facing this truth, those in power chose to bury it, along with the brave researchers who found it. The Dean's light pulsed softly. But as humans have shown us time and again, the truth does not remain buried forever. It returns, like a persistent echo across time. A panel in the floor slid open, and a replica of the Project Echo device rose onto the stage. It was different now, rebuilt with modern technology and contributions from scientists of all species. With this new version of Project Echo, we will gather knowledge from across the galaxy, the Dean continued, not to predict which species might become rivals, but to ensure that rivalry itself becomes a thing of the past. Leo stepped forward when the Dean signaled him. The scientists of Proxima Outpost 7 didn't create Echo as a weapon, he told the crowd. They built it as a bridge, a way for their knowledge to survive even if they didn't. They believed that understanding the pattern was the first step to breaking it. A soft blue light began to glow from the new device. Above it, a perfect hologram of Dr. Samantha Wright appeared. My colleagues and I thank you, the hologram said. Our nightmare is finally over. The knowledge we discovered is now where it belongs, not buried beneath stone and secrets, but shared among all who wish to learn. A hologram smiled. Humans have always been called stubborn, persistent, even frightening in our refusal to stay defeated. The Coalition once saw this as a threat. Now perhaps you can see it as hope, that some truths are worth coming back for, again and again, until they are finally heard. As the ceremony ended, Leo, Olivia, and Kai walked through the academy grounds. Students were setting up a permanent memorial garden where the names of the Proxima scientists would be displayed. What will you do now? Olivia asked Leo. He looked up at the stars visible through Sunspire's crystal dome. I've been asked to stay on as an advisor for the new Echo project. The Dean thinks having someone who remembers the original scientists is important. And the nightmares? Kai asked. The students aren't having them anymore. Leo nodded. Because the echoes have been heard. The scientists completed their mission. They can rest now. As night fell over Sunspire Academy, the stars seemed to shine brighter than before. And if you listened carefully in the quiet halls, you might still hear faint echoes, not of nightmare and fear, but of hope and persistence, the very traits that had made humans the nightmare of the stars, and now, perhaps, their greatest champions.